It's going to be the winner's match of Group B coming up right now. First versus Yoda. The countdown has begun. Are you guys ready? All right. Here we go. In the top right-hand corner, looking absolutely dominant in the previous game. Can he continue his streak through his teammate here, or will it stop and be forced into the final match? We'll see. It is the red Terran player, Yoda, his opponent. In the top left-hand corner, also hailing from Team TCM, it's going to be the dominant and accomplished Protoss player looking to stop his teammate in his tracks right now. It's going to be first. Looking to come out first in this group right now. But, are you on Team Terran? Are you on Team Yoda? Are you on Team Protoss with first? It doesn't really matter because everyone here is on Team TCM. But I'm excited. This is probably the highest level match that I have casted the entire day. And I am not letting a single second of this go to waste right now. I'm excited to see what these players are going to be doing to each other. And I didn't mean that in a very suggestive manner. But you can interpret it however you want. But let's get started. Alright. The barracks coming up first. He's not going to be going for a gas, especially early on before the barracks. Not going for like a super early factory play. Alright. We'll have to see. He's just going to be opening up with the Reaper, the standard gas timing. And the same is happening for first now. He's not going for the double gas right off. He might just be going straight up for a gate expand. I can't expect that these players would not respect each other. Based on the fact they're teammates. They're both accomplished Korean players who have had many games under their belt. And I'm sure they've played each other and gone toe-to-toe many times. And right now we're going to have to see the outcome of that here at DreamHack Moscow. But okay. The orbital is on the way. We're on Merry-Go-Round. Let's talk about Merry-Go-Round a little bit, in TVP especially. Merry-Go-Round is one of the maps with the largest surface area, the largest area you can bring in drops, especially in these positions right now. Yoda's base is directly facing into first base, because let's be honest, the majority of the time, the Terran player is going to be sending out the medevac. Sure, warp prisms are good, but medevacs are really where the drops are going to be coming from for the majority of these games, I'm sure. So, Yoda has good positions to be able to get those medevacs in quickly and easily, and the question is, how is First going to prevent that? Where is he going to take his third base if it gets to that point? How is he going to deal with the drops? How is he going to scout for them? It's pretty easy to lay out some observers, pylons, what have you, out on the outside. But if a drop does get in, and it can do so relatively easily, then it's going to come down to damage control from First end. But we'll have to see. Yoda has been quite consistent lately. As you saw last series against ZGL, he opened up with a little bit of cheesy proxy RX play, but still, he would always transition in that straight-up Marine, Medevac, Marauder, just basic unit composition. Not trying to pull one over on his opponent, but just trying to out-macro him and make better decisions. But First, of course, a little bit more of a challenging opponent for him than ZGL, I'm sure. But First going for the gated expand at the same time as Yoda's going for the 1-Rax Reaper expand, so a little bit of a deviation here, the factory coming up. Instead of a barracks play, a lot of players like Flash, like Polt, they really favor a heavy barracks play early on. They like to go for early pressures, try to draw out some photon overcharges, and set themselves up for a medevac push later on with a lot of units. Just go for a little bit more of the brute force stand-up method. But First is going for a factory. I mean, Yoda's going for the factory right now. And I guarantee you a starport's going to be coming up right next to it. Now, does he go for Hellions or Widow Mines? Okay, we're going to see a Widow Mine drop coming out, but of course First is on top of this. He's ready to receive any early attacks. He's got the Forge on the way, which should be for early +1 armor, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a Robo coming up behind, but this might be the medevac push where you get a couple Widow Mines, place them on the ramp here, and just 3 or 4 Marines in tandem with the Widow Mines out of photon overcharge range. Oh, is he going to see? Yeah, the +1 armor has started, but is he going to see the Forge? That's really important. Did Yoda? He saw the Forge. Okay, he knows he has an idea of what First is doing right now, and he's going to know how to react. I think at this point, you just go for the little bit of harassment push, and then you go for an engineering bay, maybe a third base behind, in order to kind of take advantage of the fact that First is not going to have very many units. He's not going to be able to counterattack. Right now, there are a few Stalkers coming across, but this is just to poke, prod, and try to get an idea of what Yoda's doing right now. There should be no way that First can figure out that this is going to be a medevac push. This is going to be a Widow Mine drop. We'll have to see how greedy Yoda gets with it. If he goes for the drops in the mineral lines, then that's a little bit greedy. You can get hit by the photon overcharges if there are cannons there. It might not get any damage done, but the Robo is on the way before the next gateway. So right now, First has the most bare bones build you can possibly do in this situation. The Widow Mine drop is coming along the top. There's not going to be detection in the main base. Will he go for the ramp, or will he go for the mineral line? It looks like his medevac is aiming straight towards the mineral line, but First, knowing this is a threat, has a pylon almost literally on top of that medevac pathing, and he'll have the time. Okay, the mothership core is a little out of position. Here comes the boosted medevac. Is First going to pull his probes in time, instantly moving them away. Just one. I like how he's just dropping one mine here, so that way he can negate the possibility of a photon overcharge taking out all of his mines, but that Widow Mine, still quite a threat. He might sacrifice one probe to deal with it, but he doesn't need to right now. There's the Observer, and he deals with the Widow Mine drop. Now, the only threat will be, yeah, he'll probably pick this mine up, make it a little bit more useful later on. But he didn't lose the medevac. He only lost a mine and a few Marines, and he has a very good idea of what's happening right now. He saw there were only 2 gateways. A Robo is coming up, so we'll have to see. Does Yoda decide to go for an expansion? Does he go for a 3rd CC, or does he add on a few extra barracks and go for an all-out push off of 2 bases? Honestly, knowing Yoda the way he's played so far, I would not be surprised to see a 3rd CC, but I'm proven wrong almost instantly as he adds on a couple more barracks before even thinking about another command center. Alright. And First, oh my. First is just, he does not care. He has 2 gateways and 4 tech buildings. He has a Robo, a Forge, a Twilight Council, and a Robotics Bay. He's getting a little bit of everything and not much of anything right now. And this is exactly what Yoda realizes. He's pushing out with the medevacs. If he can actually get in, if he can catch First even a little bit out of position, kill the sentries, the force fields don't land, a photon overcharge doesn't go off in the right spot, and First is dead. He takes a lot of damage, but the Colossus is almost out. He has just enough Chrono Boost, and this Colossus will be here to meet and greet this push before it even starts to do damage. So right now, I like what Yoda has. He still has the medevac with the mine in it. Oh, I guess that was a little bit of a mistake earlier on, but this should force out the photon overcharge, and then he'll just back off. Oh, he's trying to bait it, but First is not taking the bait. He's not going to do the photon overcharge, and the Colossus comes out, steps forward, and Yoda's going to have to go home without getting a single photon overcharge for his troubles right now. And I like the patience, the ice-cold patience right there on First. He knew that right now Yoda was going to try to bait out a photon overcharge. He wasn't intending to do any real damage. He really just wanted that mothership core energy to be reduced, but the Colossi came out just in time to deny it. A few more seconds, if the Colossi was 10 or 15 seconds later, he would have needed a photon overcharge in order to protect. Yeah, he knows that there's an Observer there. Scans to kill it. And oh, juking the Colossus right now, as well as the rest of the units. This might force a photon overcharge. No, First, once again, he's going to kill the cannon, and this is a lot of damage output here. The Colossus stepping forward in front of anything. Yoda stepping forward, trying to kill the Colossus, and he just barely won't get it. And First, once again, oh, wait, I spoke too soon. One Colossus will fall. The second one going to come out to clean up this push, but was First defense a little bit too skeleton? Did he not have enough units out here? But killing that first Colossus is absolutely key. He needed to kill a Colossus in order to justify this medevac production. If he doesn't kill a Colossus and he continues making medevacs, once 3, 4 Colossus come out and he doesn't have any Vikings, First can just walk across the map and kill him. But right now, Yoda, he's bashed in the front door. He started picking apart the defense. There's no more sentries. There's only 1 photon overcharge left on the mothership core. Plenty of upgrades coming out, but there's just 1 Colossi. And First, knowing his vulnerabilities right now, is adding the extra sentries. But the drop of Doom. Yoda going full Normandy right now, going into the main base, dropping on top of the Colossi. It's +1 against 1-1, but it doesn't even matter because there's not a single Colossus left on the map right now. And Yoda looks like he's looking to bring it home right here in First main base. Another Colossus has come out. He's chrono boosting out the forges, but I don't think that's where he wants to be right now with his energy expenditure. Just a single Colossus meeting this army, and it's 65 against 110 supply, and Yoda is bashing his way forward into the main base, kills another Colossus for his troubles, and First is securely on the back foot right now, and Yoda has established his 3rd base. 60 SCVs to 46 probes. It might be 2-2 upgrades, but the unit count tells the real story. It's 64 to 27 army supply, and upgrades aren't going to make up for most of that. He's kept continually killing the Colossi. There hasn't been 2 Colossi on the field for more than 10 seconds at any point this game. The Stalker's blinking back. There's only a single sentry. The Mothership Core has already, well, it does not have the energy for a Photon Overcharge, so it's effectively useless right now. And Yoda just looking for the weaknesses. He's finding the exact chinks in First's armor, and First was going for such a greedy build. He made 4 tech buildings before gateways. He just didn't have the unit count in order to defend these attacks, and Yoda knew that. He knew if he found an opening, all he needed was a tiny opening in order to crack it open into a huge one. And right now, Yoda, at 147 supply, he's got his 2-2 on the way. He started his Viking production. He's got double starport completed. And right now, yeah, we see 2 starports coming out. Both with reactors even. 4 Vikings at a time. And it doesn't even matter how many Colossus First is able to get, because Yoda can produce 4 times as many Vikings. Alright. First, desperately trying to put together. He's trying to project himself out on the map, but Yoda is not giving up a single point. He just scanned, killed the observer that he knew would probably be outside the base because he needs to be in position to defend. Like, the Blink Stalkers come back down as soon as he sees that. A little bit of a stim here. He can't afford to lose a single Stalker. There are 3 Colossi up against 10 Vikings. It's still something of a winnable fight for First. He's got the 2-2 against just the 1-1. Yoda is still a while off as it comes to the 2-2 upgrades, but First is going to lose his 3rd base once again, along with a few more probes, blinking back. What can First do right now? The Colossus count is too low to deal with this army. The Viking count is too high for the Colossus to ever move out, and the Ghosts have already joined the production tab, and there it is. The Desperation Shrine. The DTs are going to be coming out. The Blink Stalker's trying to find an angle, but instead getting slapped out of the game by the Marauders. Alright. 4 Colossi are going to be no contest. There are currently 17 Vikings on the map. 4 Vikings per Colossi. Yoda's getting a 4th base right now. He can start his 3-3 the second the 2-2 ends, and I think by the time the Ghosts show up and 2-2 has completed, then it's Yoda's time to go in for the kill. He's out for blood, and he knows exactly when to draw it. And right now, First is just trying to get what he can done, but every single time he moves forward, the Marauders kill a Stalker, and that's really just not worth it. First going to try to take another 3rd base, or at least have these probes out here, but the Ghosts have joined the field. All he needs to do is land a couple force field, a couple EMPs on the sentries, or ideally the Mothership Core as well, and that's it. The army stims up the ramp, takes the win without too much effort at all. There's an EMP. The Vikings going to work on top of the Colossi, pillaging their way to victory, and it looks like, okay, Yoda gonna be a little bit patient, back off. He is not giving this up for anything. There are DTs coming out, but the scan, wait, where are the DTs? Wow, it looks like, okay, a little bit of a base trade coming in. Is there? Well, there's no turrets right now. That's the only thing First has going for him. If he can buy enough time with these DTs, I don't think he can ever force the army to come back. The rally point is good, he's in a great position here, and if all 3 DTs get scanned, that's not exactly the most cost-efficient usage of DTs, but a couple Ghost pickoffs happening on the other side as well. Alright. Yeah. A single probe going to work. Does he actually have a kill? No, he's never going to get a kill at this point, but First has actually turtled up to a decent army, but the thing is, this decent army has already been dealt with. It's 15 Vikings still to 4 Colossi. There's not a single Ghost on the field, but there doesn't need to be if it's 2-2 versus 2-2. If the Colossi are not there, there is no splash damage, but this is the opportunity. This is First opportunity to strike. He sees it right now. The medevacs are out of position. He is going to get on top of this army, and Yoda has caught himself in a terrible position, but the Vikings were waiting in the wings here. It looks like First jumped on the opportunity, was baited into killing that army, and Yoda just steps forward, kills a Colossus without too much trouble. I believe actually 2 Colossus fell there. But yeah, he's down. There are another Colossi joining. But Yoda still finds himself at 132 to 112 army supply. And there's not a single Templar, there's not a single Storm, there's nothing. Okay, a couple Archons have joined the field, but 3-3 is finishing. The Vikings are still ridiculously high in number. The Ghosts have cloaked. There is not a single observer with this army. The Vikings making the Colossi walk through their fire, and Yoda just stimming forward, and it looks like the charge lot's not going to be enough to clean up the bio army. First has dropped under 100 supply. He's done a lot better than I think anyone thought he would, considering what happened in the beginning of this game. Maybe even Yoda thought he would. But at the end of the day, the macro, the production, the economy is just way, way too high. And Yoda going to be able to take home game number 1 and put him 1 game away from going to the round of 16. Alright. And now we'll have to see game number 2. But Yoda looked very convincing. I think First realizes he was a little bit too greedy. He can't take Yoda for granted. He went for a Forge, and then a Robo, and then a Twilight Council, and a Robo-Bay without making any units. And Yoda just called him out on that. He said, actually, sir, you're bluffing. You don't have anything. And he saw that with the Widowmine drop. The Widowmine drop didn't get much damage done. The most damage the Widowmine drop got done was scouting that First was going for such an intensely greedy, tech-heavy build. And Yoda decided, you know what counters someone who's sitting there with no units for the first 10 minutes of the game? Possibly just going over and killing him. And that's what he decided to do, and he did it successfully with very solid macro behind. He knew exactly when to expand, when to take more barracks, when to take a third base, when to attack, when to pull back. And even though he almost got caught out of position at the end, he never gave up the advantage throughout that entire game. So, all right. Here we go, game number 2 starting up. It's going to be on Overgrowth, Ladder Edition. And this will determine if we go to a game number 3, or if TCM Yoda is able to take out TCM First and move on to the round of 16. Here we go. Game number 2 is loaded up, and it's ready to begin. Alright. That's not good. We're gonna have to try that one more time. It looks like Yoda was also dropped from the game at the same time. Alright, we're going. Once again, Battle.net being a great... really helping out my intros there. Here we go. They're both ready to go. Immediately starting the countdown. Alright, let's try this again. We're in different positions, but in the exact same map. On the exact same map. But, game number 2. In the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to be the TCM Terran player up 1-0 and 1 game away from a round of 16 appearance. It's going to be TCM Yoda. His opponent in the top right-hand corner, also hailing from Team TCM. He needs to bring this back on this map, and we're on Overgrowth, one of the most standard safe maps that you can play. A lot easier to defend than Merry-Go-Round. Will he be able to do it? It's TCM's first. But honestly, talking about Overgrowth compared to Merry-Go-Round, Merry-Go-Round, like I was talking about, Yoda had a perfect angle for those drops. He continually abused it, and First was just a little bit too greedy. He got too complacent. He sat back expecting his tech to take over for him, to take the lead, but Yoda realized the tech had not kicked in yet, so he was able to keep it from ever kicking in a meaningful way. Overgrowth, on the other hand, the drop angle is still good. There's still a lot of area to drop in. It's not nearly the same as Merry-Go-Round. There's not that large amount of air dead space that you can move around. You don't have the ability to take the watchtowers in the middle and then just immediately go towards a drop. There's... the natural is something that can be force-fielded relatively easily, and of course Colossi very good as well. I'd say Overgrowth is significantly more defensible than Merry-Go-Round from a toss perspective. It First goes for the exact same build on this map, and Yoda goes for something similar as well. I think First can defend without taking too significant of damage. Last game, he lost to Colossus. He lost all his sentries in just the first drop. That is significant, if not critical, damage early on. It gave Yoda the huge tempo advantage. And that's something First needs to avoid. The only way that you can go for a build that involves 4 tech buildings early on is if you maintain the tempo advantage. If you use that tech to the best of your ability and make sure that no damage can come to you early on. Otherwise, you're just going to get picked apart, just like First did last game. So, alright, Yoda coming in. And I like this game. Yoda going for the SCV Scout. I believe he SCV Scouted last game, but since it was Merry-Go-Round, it went towards the wrong location. And that means his Reaper, he sees there's no second gas. And a Zealot is on the way, but I think it will be canceled at the last second here. I'd be surprised if he actually finished the Zealot. Yeah, he cancels it at the last second in order to be able to make this Nexus here without getting blocked by an Engineering Bay. The only reason you make a Zealot early on is if there happens to be a Terran who decides to do the Engineering Bay block, then you have the Zealot. You let the Zealot finish in order to kill the Engineering Bay relatively quickly so you can get the expansion, because a Zealot costs less than an Engineering Bay. So, but he cancels it, and now he's going to be going for the Mothership Core in order to repel this Reaper, coming out the exact same second. And right now, Yoda just confirming no second gas. He looks at the Chrono Boost. He says, okay, you're not doing anything crazy right now. I'm just going to go ahead, confirm the expansion, and take a drive home. Oh, whoa, 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 Jukes! Is that intentional? He's just jumping back and get me a little bit dizzy right now, to be honest, but... yeah. So, everything... Actually, no. I was about to say it's shaping up similarly to last game. Completely different build out of Yoda right now. He is going to be going for the early barracks pressure. He's adding back into gas here. Now, the question is, does he go for stim or does he go for combat shields early on? We'll have to see. If he goes for combat shields, he's going to be looking to possibly sacrifice his units early in order to get some probe kills. But I'll talk about what First is doing in just a second, but I'm waiting for this tech lab to finish. While it's finishing, I'm going to talk about the Twilight Council. This Twilight Council is coming up relatively early. The Reaper is going to get in. If the Reaper sees it, I think as soon as the Reaper dies, we see a Robo. We see a Robo and a Forge. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. He saw it. Okay, that's so important. By literally that much. By one step. If he had gone one step... Wait. Did he click on it in time? That's also important. He knows it's there. He knows it's... he has to know. Alright, and Stim is on the way, which is pretty ideal for dealing with this. Does he make a Marauder? If he makes a Marauder, he thinks it's Blink. If he makes another Marine... Did he actually see it? Because it's pretty rare when you make another Marine against this. I guess he might want to cut off everything. Oh, he scans, yeah. He didn't get a click on it. I don't think even Yoda could have gotten a click on the Twilight Council that quickly. He knows there was a building back there, but he doesn't know what it was. Because it was just so quick. And oh, stepping forward, he's going to be able to pick off a Stalker for free. It's a really sloppy there by First. That's not something you want to be giving up when you're going for Blink Stalkers. Alright, the scan. Now he knows 2 more gateways on the way. It's not a huge commitment necessarily. There could be gateways somewhere else, but I think at this point, because it's been scouted, yeah, there's the Robo. And Yoda, we'll see if he calls him on the bluff. Because right now he's only making 1 bunker, and he's not making a bunker in the main, which also indicates he doesn't believe that First is actually going to commit to some sort of Blink all-in. So. There has to be a pylon down here. Yoda sees the probe. He knows what happens when probes are out on the map. But Blink's going to be done. That's exactly what First wants to defend. To defend against the Medivacs before the Colossi come out. And the Colossi should be coming out about the same time the Medivacs are finishing. So there shouldn't be too much of a timing here. But 3 Stalkers joining up with 2 more. I think he's just trying to pick off the Medivacs, maybe. Pick off the Marines that were sitting out here. If they were still there, trying to pick off Stalkers, he would have been able to come in from that angle. But, yeah, you got to do a little bit of harass here. Maybe force him to pull some SCVs. But Yoda, keeping his cool, keeping his calm, as usual. Not going to be fooled by this. Alright. And oh, okay. First mixing up a lot from the last game right now. Going for the early third base, and he's just going to be relying on constant Blink harass, Blink aggression. And he's going to be looking to make sure this third base gets up, and he needs the gas. He needs the gas. And I like what he's doing here. He needs to do whatever he can to project force onto Yoda's side of the map. If he doesn't project force onto it... Oh, wait, whoa, did he see it? Oh, how does Yoda know these things? Oh, I can't believe he scouted it that early. This is so bad right now for First. Yoda knows everything. What does he do? Does he add a third base or does he add more barracks? Maybe he has a timing where he pulls the boys, but right now, Yoda knows everything. First was relying on keeping Yoda pinned back in his base while he got his expansion up. He wouldn't have the units to defend a full frontal attack, but he would completely discourage one by having Blink Stalkers, by having a Warp Prism. At this point, yeah, the four Zealot drop is good, but I don't think this is going to be enough for Yoda to pull back. I think this third base is dead. There's no way to defend this third base if this full medevac force comes out. First was relying on using the Blink Stalkers and using the Warp Prism to keep them back, but not only is the Warp Prism not going to be useful, it might also be a liability, as it takes so much Marine fire, and Yoda is on top of absolutely everything right now. And I don't think there's any way this third base can live through this. There's no Colossus yet. There's no Colossus yet. Where's the Colossus? You need the Colossus. The Colossus just standing at the natural, idly by. It's on strike right now, and the third base falls. A medevac will be the cost, but it's a small price to pay for a third expansion. And first, his entire game plan was hinging on keeping that third base alive. And now, suddenly, that has completely been evaporated. Yoda just knows. Quite strong in the Force you are, Yoda. As he knows exactly what to do at what times. He's able to snap up that third base even before the Colossus shows up. I think if there was a Colossus there, it might have been a heavy challenge. It might have been a lot. Oh, a couple Zealots coming out. And first, he can still put together a push. And now, since Yoda sacrificed a bit of his army for that Nexus, is this... Oh, we're not... Okay. It looks like the boys are going to be coming off the line. I don't see a third base yet. He's making Vikings, but there's no third base. And he doesn't have an armory either. We just see the +1 right now. There's no +2. I am almost certain that Yoda is both scared of the potential attack out here with these two... Oh, no, no, no! Yoda getting caught out of position. He actually wants to fight here. He has +1 against no upgrades. And the Widow Mines, I might be speaking a little bit too soon as one... Oh, what? 2 Colossi just died instantly. How does Yoda do this? 2 Colossi died at the snap of a finger there. He just stims forward. The Widow Mine hit softened up the shields. And then the Marauders finished the job. And a third base is coming out. There's no reason not to take one now. Yoda has killed 2 Colossi. Somehow he finds a way. He had 1 Viking in that last fight, and he killed 2 Colossi. I call map hacks or something. I don't know. What in the... The Zealot drop in the main, but Yoda is already prepared. He has the +1. He's going to be able to clean these up relatively easily, and now he's at 118 to 98 supply, and first, once again, finds himself with a severe Colossus deficit against someone who didn't even make Vikings yet. And the worker count, it's 47 SCVs to 53 probes. The third base of first is up, but he's not mining gas. And this base is quite vulnerable. First is doing a great job zoning out with his Blink Stalkers, but really Yoda is in complete command of this game right now, and First is just grasping at straws. Somehow he keeps taking these fights. I see that fight, and I say, Yoda, why are you fighting right now? Those are force fields, those are Colossus. And Yoda says, I see this as an opportunity. Well, not to take anything away from First. He's recovered. He lost a couple Colossi, but it was at the cost of a lot of the units of Yoda. He knows the Viking count is quite low. He's taken out a few medevacs throughout the course of this and kept the SCV count relatively down. First, looks like he's going for a little bit more of that CJ hero style of less upgrades, no Templar, stuff like that, and just focusing on that big Colossus death ball. Of course, losing a couple Colossus early on, it'd be much nicer to have 5 Colossus right now than 3, wouldn't it? But he has to work with what he has. And the supplies are surprisingly even, but a lot of this comes from the fact that there's not a single upgrade on this Protoss army. There is not a Templar Archives. There's a Twilight Council, but it has only been used to research Blink and Charge. There are no forges, and everything is going into this attack. This is effectively a 3 Colossus all-in right here, and Yoda must defend. This is First saying, I need to finish you right now. He has 8 warp gates, 9 warp gates, 8 warp gates, and just the Colossus. No forges. No Templar Archives. It's going to be 11 warp gates in just a second. We have 3 ghosts, though, ready to be on top of the army. He wants to EMP these sentries, and if he does so, I don't think there's any way Yoda is going to get some EMPs on all the sentries. Not a single force field is going to be coming up, and the Colossi are being targeted down in seconds here. Down to 2, down to 1, down to none, and right now Yoda stimming forward with the power of Terran, and there's nothing left to defend. The charge lots trickling in, but Yoda laughs in their faces as the Marines, the Marauders, and the medevacs stim forward and drive First back onto his side of the map, where he will not be safe, but he is forced to retreat too. The Stalkers coming in. 4 Stalkers are something that Yoda just laughs at right now. The third base is going to retreat, but Yoda is not as he moves across the map, going towards the natural. There is nothing there, and the scan confirms it. 73 to 33 army supply, and he's stimming forward, looking to claim his victory. The time for patience has ended. The boys have been pulled off the line back at home, but it's 1-1 versus 0-0. He might need to pull a few more boys, but Yoda is ready to claim his victory, ready to go to the round of 16 right now, and first is not going to be the first out of this group, and Yoda is going to be the one to stop him. One Nexus has fallen. There are no more units in the main, and that's a GG. Yoda going to take the 2-0 victory. Absolutely dominating play there. He dominated ZGL, and now first was the second to follow suit, and it looks like Yoda going to be making a deep run in this tournament right now. There is... I honestly... Terran, I guess. I don't know. How did he do it? Alright.